What's up, boys and girls, and thank you for tuning in. This is your boy Yarek, who buys real estate. And today's episode, we're going to be talking about tenants who didn't pay for 18 months. Yep, you heard that correct. 18 months. Now, how do we deal with that? Well, let's talk about it. So, this is my first deal I actually ever purchased. Originally, I was going to wholesale the deal, but I realized that at the last minute, the buyer backed out, and I ended up closing on it. It was actually a really interesting deal. So, what had happened was, I went under contract with a property that was estimated fair market value of about 45,000, and we went under contract about that price. Later on, I found out that the tenant who was promised to be, moved out before the closing was not going to do so. Why? Because the agent, by mistake, told me that she hasn't paid, and she hasn't paid in 18 months. Now, some of you are wondering, aren't there tenant laws? How does that work? Well, the way it works is pretty much if there's a violation on a property, and that's what happened to this property, right? There was a leak in a roof. Now the leak went from the roof all the way down to the walls and it started causing issues. And one of the issues was, water damage to the sheetrock. Now this tenant went out and called the city. In this case, it's Philadelphia. Now Philadelphia is where I invest currently, and the way it worked out is they passed out a violation to the owner, right, the landlord. And when you have a violation pending and your license is expired to be a landlord, you can't renew it, right? It's $1,000 violation, et cetera, et cetera. You have to fix it. And now this is where the tricky thing comes in. Most people don't know that the laws are out there for us to use. Now, the question is, what law are we talking about? I'm talking about the tenant and landlord laws. Law, which is if you're a tenant and you live in a property, now the property has damages. Now you're wondering, what can I do about it? Well, you could contact the landlord, let him know that there's an issue with it. And hopefully the landlord, if he's a slumlord, he'll go ahead and fix that issue in a timely manner. Now, let's say a month goes by, 2 months go by, third month goes by, nothing gets done, right? This is where you get the city involved. The city comes out, gives a violation. Now, at this point, you as a tenant don't have to pay the landlord. Now, easy there. Think about it, right? There's no such thing as living for free. It just doesn't work that way. Now, the way it does work is you actually have to open an escrow account, right? This is what I did, right? When I went under contract, I'm new to this game and I'm trying to figure out what can I do to get this resolved, right? Because we have this seller who's motivated to sell. He can't get out of the property because he has a tenant who doesn't move out and they haven't paid for 18 months. So they're already forgot about this property. They're tired of it. There's upkeep that needs to be done. And they just don't no longer think that they'll be able to collect rent. So what I did is I went through the laws and figured out what exactly, how does it work, and what laws do work in my favor or against me, right? Or vice versa for the tenant. So I read in the law that it says a tenant does not have to pay the landlord if there is a case, right? There's a violation or there's some kind of an issue. And that's what this tenant did. Didn't pay for 18 months. Now we're talking about, $900 a month. So it does accumulate over time. Um, the one thing you have to do is you have to open up an escrow account. Now, this is the tenant side. Now, tenant side must open up an escrow account and actually start paying the rent there, right? Because you cannot not pay rent, right? You signed the lease, and the lease says you have to pay rent. Now, it doesn't have to be to the landlord; it could be to the escrow account. Why the escrow account? And the reason for this is the escrow account is it actually works in an interesting way where you as a tenant you're actually paying it and you're getting it done, right? So you're putting the money in the escrow account, you're actually paying your rent now in hopes that it will get fixed. So the topic of today is tenant did not pay for 18 months. Now this video was actually requested from one of my friends, Willie, and he asked me, how exactly did you use your awareness plus your emotions for you, not against you, right? A lot of times we have these things called emotions and inner voice. So how exactly, what's up, Willie? How exactly does it work, right? So I wanted to come out and tell the tenant, hey, listen, you have to move out, right? You're doing something wrong, et cetera, et cetera. I didn't do that. What I did is I pretty much teamed up with a local management company. Why? Because they have the laws, they have things on their side. So before closing, my goal was to do one thing only, is to make sure we get to the closing without the tenant being there. And that's what I did. So actually, being said that, I actually didn't do that. I actually ended up closing on the property, right? I ended up closing the property on the 13th of April, and then 2 weeks or 1 week go by. I apply, so we do the closing. The violation is paid off. I apply for my landlord license. I get it. Now I start sending out emails. Before even I got my landlord license, what I started doing, and this is a lot of times why most people fail in real estate, is they don't really track their progress, right? They don't have certified letters. So this is a very crucial part. That's what I started doing. Is from day one, I sent out a letter to the tenant saying, "Hey, I would love to help you out. Let me know how I can do so. I'm going to be the new owner of this property. I understand there's issues to the property. Let's figure this out, right? Let's talk about it." We got to the point where the tenant stopped letting people in the house, right? I had an inspection on prior, and then when she really realized that I am buying the property, there's going to be a new owner, she stopped letting people in. So all these things are happening. This is my first deal. I'm stressing out. I'm not sure if I should buy it or not. I know the numbers are right. I'm getting it 50% of fair market value, but I'm still, I'm anxious. I don't know what's going on. So this is my first time ever. So I knew one thing is that I have to do it. I have to try it. I have to be persistent, and I know I can get it done. Why? Because I believe myself. So that's what I kept on doing. I started building a rapport, right? I started sending out letters. The first letter was saying, "Hey, please, I want to help out." Second letter was, "Hey, maybe I can help you relocate. Let me know how it gets done and how to move forward." Right. The tenant actually did reach out back to me while we were on the closing and said, "Hey, sure, give me X amount of money." And I said, "Okay, let me talk to my partner and figure it out." Then the tenant reached out back to me and doubled the price and added one more money. And at that point, I realized there is no really negotiation at this point. It just becomes an endless battle. So the third time she reached out to me, she actually requested double the amount that originally she asked for, plus the deposit, right? So it came out to about like $6,000 or whatever, etc. money. It was obnoxious, which is pretty funny because I use that against her motivations, which is to continue to live there for free, right? So what I did is I went out through all the laws. I read it. And I found out that you cannot not pay rent, right? You have to open up an escrow account. So this is what I started pushing on, right? And for you guys who are watching, please take a note of this. Whenever there's a tenant that stops paying, make sure the first thing you do is notify them. "Hey, you're late, right? The first of the month, it's due. The rent is due. 5 days into it, they're already late. Let them know that they're late. Then let them know that, hey, you are now late. I will start an eviction process. And then after that, it takes about 14 days. After the fifth day of the first month, you can actually start a process, right? In Philadelphia, about takes 30 days. Now, don't forget, this is before COVID, before any of that was going on right now in the economy and so on. So I'm just talking about natural economy, normal things going on, and seeing what's really happening. So I got a question now. What is an escrow account and how you open it up? You can open it up. You can contact your bank, you could management company. You can, if you really, really, really want to get it done, it's really that simple. You can Google it. There's certain ways an escrow account can be opened up where you will have to provide that escrow account number to the actual landlord, right? And that's pretty much what I was asking her. Listen, I am the new. Once I closed, I reached out to her and let her know, "Hey, this is the new management company, right? I am the new landlord, so I want to introduce myself. Um, I just want to." So we closed on the 13th. I'm sorry, the 12th. Week after that, I got my landlord license on the 21st, I believe, and then already I started sending her emails. And what I was doing, I was sending her an email at least once a week, and it was a certified letter, meaning she had to sign for it, meaning I know she received it, right? You got to the point where she got so furious and she called me. She's like, "You gotta stop having these people come to my house." And I'm like, "What people?" She's like, "UPS, FedEx, USPS." And to me, it was pretty funny because they were coming in, they were knocking on the door, they're furious because they got to get a sign. So they're making sure and they're pushing on her to understand that you cannot get away with not paying rent for 18 months. So in those letters, from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I believe it was a total of 5 different letters. On the 25th, I got my landlord license to let her know I'm the new landlord. I told her that on the first, this is where you have to make a payment for, and I need access to the property to get the issue resolved. Now, what is the issue of the leaky roof and so on. Now, this is my property. I close on it. I'm moving forward, and I'm sending her these letters. And she doesn't want to reply back with emails or anything like that. She wants to do phone call only, which I understood, which is fine. No paper trail. It's understandable. So moving forward, I got the management company involved. And this is another trick. Awareness is very, very important, key guys. You have to understand this. Why? So I reached out to my management company and said, hey, it would be better if you send the letter out instead of me. Now, what does that mean? Meaning they'll have a header saying, I'm the management company. I am an agent, licensed. I know what I'm doing. So please, let's work this out. And the management company did not want to do one thing I requested of them, and that is send a certified letter. And I didn't get why. He kept on saying, okay, 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 let me figure it out, and never got back to me. And then I realized certified letters cost money, right? So I'm requesting something from a company that they have to actually pay for. So I went and I said, you know what? Why don't you send me that letter? I'll go ahead and send it out myself. You send me that letter with your heading and all that. I'll send it out myself. So I went, took it, printed it out, put it in an envelope, and I shipped it out, certified. Sometimes it was even overnight. And I kept on doing it. So that built what? That built a rapport with the tenant, saying that I'm not going away, right? This is my property. I care about it. I want to get it. I don't mind you living there, right? I just want to make sure that you're living in a really nice property where the roof is fixed, that the leaks are not continuously going on, because once the roof is leaking, it's trailing down the walls, damaging sheetrock, is going down to the basement, the beams are getting around the way, and that's actually what ended up happening is some of the beams got around the way, which we had to sister-choice them. So moving forward, I kept on doing these things. I kept on doing and building rapport with her. Now, this is the craziest thing I didn't expect, but I definitely prayed for it. The tenant actually ended up moving out on the third. And the reason for that is that I sent a letter to the tenant, know, hey, on the first, the rent is due here, right? You have to pay for it. Now, the tenant reached out to me and said, hey, I'm not going to, I can't pay for something that is damaged. And I told her, I'd love to pay for what you're requesting, which is, your deposit in the last month. Now, key word is last month. And I asked her, I was like, you have to provide me the escrow account. Now, what does that mean, the escrow account? Escrow account is what I mentioned before. If there's an issue, violation, you don't have to pay to the landlord. You open up an escrow account and your rent goes every month there, right? Make sure you pay it on time. Now, if she didn't pay for 18 months, that escrow account had to be big, right? Had to be big. And one of the funny thing is that the agent messed up, and she actually said it before closing, that she's trying to find a new house for the tenant to buy, right? Because 18 months of no rent, you start accumulating money. So she ended up accumulating some money, and that actually gave me some, relief. What do I mean by that? Because I had an inspection done prior to closing, so if even this tenant did damage everything, I would have another inspection done and then take it to small claims court, right? Because there's some things like laws that work for us and not against us. Now, I myself am not planning to be a slumlord, and I am definitely, shame on you if you are a slumlord, because that is definitely not the way to go. People got to live in the proper ways, because we always want to live in a secure, safe, sound location. And so moving forward, I got this tenant out, right, before the fifth of the month. Now, what had happened is I kept on sending the letters, and finally I was like, listen, I need that escrow account, because I want to find out if when was the last month paid. If the last month was paid last month, or whatever it is, this month, then I do owe you that, that money for you to move out. And she realized that she can't provide me that escrow account because there is no such thing. She never had one. Why? Because the agent verified it for me in a way where it was an insane deal. I'll go into it a little further down on how I got this deal. It was definitely a lot of speed bumps and so forth. So moving forward, I kept on, being persistent, right? Taking action. That's the most important thing, is being persistent, taking action. Now, I was preparing myself mentally. Mentally, I was preparing myself to go to court, right? I'm going to war. And war isn't like I'm creating paperwork, right? If I do go to the judge, and the judge is another human being, right? He's gonna ask me the question of, hey, what did you do? How did you try it? And what did you really, accomplish where, you come to a mutual understanding? And I wanted to show all the paperwork. Hey, before I close the property, I sent out this letter. Here's proof that the person received it. Hey, here's me trying to, negotiate some kind of a deal where I'll help them move, pay for moving, whatever it is. The email was a letter saying, hey, I'm the new landlord. Here's the new management company and introduction. So please make sure you pay to this account. Then another letter was saying, hey, I need to have access to this property. So please make sure that you give access to the contractor. So all these things need to be built. You have to file it. You have to create some kind of a system where you're filing it and you're there. Now, one thing you got to really pay attention to is don't get sensitive, right? Don't let your emotions. What is emotion? It's two words together. It's energy plus motion. Don't let this energy of motion control your feelings, right? Control what you think. You want to just, sometimes get aggravated and say, "Hey, get out," da da da. But it doesn't work that way, right? You have to be humane. Simple as that, because everybody has their own things going on, and you cannot take anything personal, right? The key word is personal. Don't take it personal. It's simple as that. Certain things we get used to, right? If you don't pay rent for 18 months and then somebody comes in and says, "Hey, you gotta stay paying rent," shucks, you don't want to do that, right? Because you're just used to those certain things. So moving forward, um, I got to send it out, and this tenant actually ended up calling the management company and said, "Hey, whatever you do, I'm out. It's the third of the month. I'm out. That's it. I'm not there anymore." And the management company called me and said, "Hey, great news, Yarek, we got the tenant out." And I'm like, hold on a second there. I understand this tenant is very tricky, I would say. So make sure you get it in paper, right? I don't want to start changing locks and walk into a house that still has a tenant living there. That's a big no-no, because laws will definitely punish me in that sentence. So moving forward, I got the management company to actually get a text from her saying, yes, I moved out and everything is cleared out. Now, I believe on the 6th or the 7th of the month, we walked in there. I had, as soon as I got a text, I said, "Hey, listen, send out somebody there and change the locks." So once the locks were changed, a few days later, I come into the property with the management company. Guess what? Spotless. There was nothing, no damage. Everything was removed. Me and the management company were surprised because on the images I've seen, there was a sofa, there was all kinds of things outside, inside. It was bad everywhere. And guess what? She removed everything. She understood that I will continuously pursue if there was kind of some damages were or done to the property. Now make sure you understand and be clear. You have to be very transparent. You have to be very clear on your communication, right? You have to let them know. You can't just get upset and say, "Hey, you have to pay rent," and that's it, right? You can't just you have to go by the steps, right? You have to follow the laws. The laws are there to protect us, right? Now some people want to bend them, they want to use it for them, but that's why the law is there for everybody, right? To make sure that the landlords are protected, that the tenants are protected, that no such things are happening in an evil way. Now, I really hope you guys are finding some really good valuable information on this. Now, never be scared. Always take massive action. Always continue. And yeah, so this is how I got a tenant out, and who didn't pay for 18 months in about 2 weeks, right? You just take massive action, and be very, very persistent, right? You got to be persistent. That's the most important thing. And so I ended up closing on the property. Now moving forward, all these things were not disclosed to me. Now another thing I want to add to you guys: if you're a new investor or you're a seasonal investor, make sure you do one thing, and one thing always is put into your contract, right? Your AOS contract, your real estate contract, delivered vacant, right? This is a very crucial thing. Now, a lot of times sellers will go ahead and sign it off and then realize, hey, the tenant doesn't want to move out. And so make sure that you go ahead and actually put that in the contract. So that's what I did with this contract. I said, hey, deliver vacant, because whenever you go on a contract with a property, even if the tenant is excited, is happy, he's super motivated to move out, right? That's pretty much one of the things you're hearing. Sometimes when you close, the tenant doesn't move out, right? Because they're switching laws, and now the lease can transfer over to you. It becomes much more of a problematic thing when you get a property, when you buy a property with a tenant in place, right? Because you're taking over somebody else's previous doing, right? Previous landlord negotiations, whatever the landlord did, agreed to. Now you're just in this way, you're a filter. You're not really sure what's happening. You just everything's going through you. So make sure that you put in a contract, delivered or vacant. Vacancy is definitely an important thing. And second thing is, yeah, you want to ask questions, right? How do I get to this whole process of me understanding and getting to the point where what exactly is happening, how can I get this resolved? Is I kept on asking a lot of questions, a lot of questions from the agent. And shortly the agent started, saying certain things they didn't want to say, but they ended up saying it, and it worked out in my favor, where I was able to renegotiate. And two, I was able to understand where exactly is the mindset of the tenant is, and what happened prior, what's going on now, and moving forward. Um, So yeah, guys, I really hope that you enjoyed this video and information. And yeah, so definitely be persistent. Definitely take massive action. And yeah, you got to read the contract. You got to put in some clause that you do need to understand that, if there is a tenant in place, make sure that it's clear that if you do want to take it without a tenant, that it's in the contract that, deliver vacant. It's funny, I say that now is because I'm on the contract on a mixed use in Philadelphia, and in the contract, guess what I did? I put delivered vacant. Now it's a 4 unit property. It's a storefront on the first floor. Then you got 2 units on the second floor and a 1 unit on the third floor. Guess what happened? We got a 60-day period where we were supposed to close. We just extended it for another 30 days. You know why? Yep, you guessed it. The tenant doesn't want to move out, right? So there's actually a problem now where I just found out that there's a violation put in place. So this is kind of like I'm moving from single family to a mixed use, larger deals, and the problems is similar there, right? This is why I'm moving to bigger deals because the amount of energy it takes to do a small deal, to do one deal, is the same amount of energy to do a big deal, right? So now I'm going through all these things and I'm learning, right? I'm learning and making sure that I continuously evolve and educate myself. And one of the things that I did is put in a contract, delivered vacant. So what happened is now the tenant doesn't want to move out, right? The tenant apparently filed for a violation a month ago, and there was some kind of a leak. So the person I'm buying it from did not upkeep the property at all, right? It's really bad. So I understand where the tenant's coming from. And now I'm working with an agent. And again, I'm trying to resolve issues, right? Because once you bring up value, that's when you get things to the closing table. Once you bring value, money starts flowing to you, right? Once you bring value, you end up getting actually positive things out there. You get excited, you get things, rewarded to you. So in a way where now I'm working with an agent who is the dual agent on this deal to help this single mom find a new place. Now winter's around the corner, and that place that she currently lives, there's no insulation. The windows are really bad damaged. Like there was zero upkeep by the previous, the current landlord. So we're actually really excited to find her a new place. Somewhere that she can live, her and her child. Because it's just summer's around the corner, and Philadelphia definitely has cold winters. So we're really super excited to find a new location. Once she moves out, we'll be able to get to the closing table. The property will be delivered vacant, where I can start doing a renovation, right? I can do a value add, make sure everything is, cleaned up, everything, all the issues are taken care of, get it rented out, refinance, move on to other things. And I'm realizing one thing is I want to continuously get bigger and bigger deals because, it doesn't matter what you do in life is small or big, things take time, things take energy. So I'd rather do focus on bigger deals than small deals. Nothing wrong with single family homes. That's definitely strategy. The burst strategy, buy, renovate, refinance, repeat. That definitely works. Just not something I want to do. Once you get into commercial industry, it's a whole different beast. Different type of appraisals, different type of after repair values, and so on. That's a whole different subject. I'll get into that next once I start learning more and more about what exactly is commercial real estate. So yeah, going back to the original topic, right? 18 months, 10 didn't pay, got them out in 2 weeks. Now, how did that work? Is because the previous landlords gave up. Something I'm gonna add before I go. Thank you guys for tuning in one more time and watching me. Is so negotiations, right? Really important thing. And again, to one of my friends who asked me to do this video, he asked me about emotions, right? Emotions are a very big key. You rather not share your emotions and take the time to actually listen, right? Because when you listen, you find out more versus you giving what you think or what you know, right? Because if you're only talking, you're not getting, you're not giving. So it doesn't work out that way. Moving forward, um, I got a question now. Who do you convince the landlord who has a rented building to tell his agent to vacate? I've had buyers back out of buying, and then I'm stuck with an empty building costing me money. That's a great question. So that is an amazing question. So if you do put in a contract, deliver it vacant, make sure you're gonna close, right? Make sure that you're not just um, putting these barriers, right? Because this is really messed up. Because this is you're talking about people, a landlord who's collecting rent, right? He is motivated to collect that rent. He needs that money, right? This is his income. This is his passive cash flow. Whatever it is, it might be his only job, right? So you got to once you go on a contract and you do, put it down, deliver vacant, that you are prepared to close, right? You're not just kicking rocks, right? You have to understand that this is people's jobs. This is people's livelihood. So When you do prepare to buy something, make sure that you do your due diligence, right? You have the first couple of weeks to do your due diligence. Do it, right? Figure it out. Is this something good for you, right? And then, another thing is make sure that you are getting what you want and you're also providing value at the same time. Now, sometimes buyers lie, sometimes sellers lie. That's what I've realized, and there's a few times where I've came across that. For example, right now I'm in a contract to purchase a mixed use. Right, I was told that, hey, all the tenants are super happy, they can stay or leave, whatever you want, whatever you want. And I'm like, great, sure, you don't mind if I put it vacant in delivery, right? Like, no, of course not. And then guess what? Tenant did not want to move out, right? There's a violation in place that I wasn't told about, right? There's no upkeep of that property that I wasn't told about. I was told that there's half the windows were changed, they were not, right? There was a lot of things that are happening that are not what it came out to be. Now, I am definitely serious on closing this property. If something ever does happen, I make sure one of my friends and one of my investors do buy the property. So I definitely am not wasting anybody's time by going on the contract and then backing out after they kick everybody out. Not cool. That's not, definitely, I do not promote that. If you're all about that, shame on you. Definitely don't do that, right? When you go on the contract, be serious. Move forward. Once you pass the due diligence period, things are getting done. So yeah, definitely keep that in mind, and be very, very, aware of not only yourself as a buyer or sometimes a seller or vice versa, right? So you want to make sure that everybody's winning and everybody's getting value. I'm going to go back to my first deal that I was talking about, the tenant who paid for 18 months, right? So let's talk about it before I go. So what happened is the property was on the market for $60,000, right? Philadelphia has it's a C-class area where I invest. So the houses are still, gentrifying. They're still moving up in prices. So the house was on the market for $60,000, and this is actually, I hope you guys learned something new about, how to find deals, moving away from tenants. The property was on the market for $6,000. It was listed for half a year. Nothing happened. I realized people either sold the property or they realized there was a tenant issue. So it didn't go anywhere. So I reached out to the agent and said, hey, I'm interested in this property. Let's put on a contract. I know that, and asked them, I was like, what do you think this property has been sold in 6 months? Well, she said, the price is definitely up there. It's definitely high. The sellers believe that they had a golden egg. They just wanted their money, right? There was no understanding, right? The fair market value of that property was about 48,000. They wanted 60, so there was about $12,000 difference. That's a big, about 20% difference. So we wanted a contract. I said, listen, I'll give you, 40, 45 for it, fair market value, and let's get it done. We went on the contract, and then I started, little by little, I started finding all these issues, right? The tenant doesn't move out. There's a violation that I wasn't told about. There's leaks everywhere. It was really bad shape, right? Because what the agent did is she put up pictures of what the property was, 5 years ago before it was rented out, right? Before any type of wear and tear. And so in the future, I started, asking questions and so on. I was like, oh, so can we deliver vacant? She's like, yeah, sure, we get it all done, but that wasn't the case. So we ended up renegotiating to the point where it was really, really insane, where I actually had a lawyer review the emails I was going back and forth, and he was shocked, right? He was so upset with what the agent and what the sellers were saying that he was like, this is, they could all lose their license and go to I can take them to court. They were, I had the property on the contract, and they turned around and started marketing to other people because they realized, hey, why would I sell to you? I could sell maybe somebody else, which is not allowed to, because we're on the contract, right? I give the earnest money, I give the deposit. So, and they started marketing it behind my back. Why do I know that? Is because I got an email from a wholesaler saying he's selling my property, which was really shocking to me. I forwarded that email. They paid off. They didn't know what was happening. But anyways, so we started renegotiating. I realized this, gloves are off. The seller's being nasty. The agent is not being, what their license says they should be doing, and we ended up renegotiating down to 20, what was it, 23,000, right? Because I did have to take on, right? Some of you guys, whoa, what do you mean? That's a big discount. Well, don't forget, I was the only buyer, right, who was willing to buy it with a tenant that did not want to leave, right? Did not pay for 18 months. There was no escrow account. There have been issues for over a year that, leaks from the roof. There has been, some water damage, right? I'm looking at this inspection report that I got, and it's bad, right? There's a lot of things that need to be fixed and needs to be done. So Moving forward, guys, I hope you guys really enjoyed this. Again, kind of went from being a tenant, information of not paying for 18 months to what emotional awareness. How do we get it done? Just one thing I will strongly suggest: continuously improve yourself, continuously learn different things, continuously do self improvement, self education, read books, and yeah, and just try to get your awareness under control. I believe Warren Buffett said that if you react to every word and everything that somebody says to you, you'll never be able to be in control of your money, right? Because everybody else is controlling you. So it kind of makes sense that I'm not, I'm not definitely not quoting word for word, but it's similar to what he said. So definitely, guys, make sure that you know what you're getting yourself into, and if it is your first deal, like it was for me, I made sure the numbers that spread is big, in case I do mess up, right? In case I do have to pay thousands and thousands of dollars in lawyer fees, thousands of dollars for cash for keys, whatever it is, that I'm prepared, right? I wasn't sure what exactly, because I couldn't get my contractor in the house to see the house and get a proper scope of work, right? So I was guesstimating a lot of things, guess of estimating. So it was definitely a learning curve for me. I really had a great experience. It did not stop me. I moved forward. But yeah, so if you do your first deal, make sure it's very lucrative, where the numbers work more than just you wish for. Make sure you understand your numbers. If you have any issues or questions, please do reach out to me. I'd love to take a look. I'd love to point you in the right direction. If I can, I know somebody that will. So yeah, I'm definitely here to share, and I'd love to hear more about you, what you guys are going through, and let me know. Yeah. So hopefully this was really educational or informative, or fun, whatever it was you guys believe. Make sure you comment, like, share, and again, go ahead and click subscribe on, and I'd love to hear from you. And yeah, be good, be great, be amazing. Hope you have an amazing week. You guys are all blessed, and let's continue it. America's great. Take care, guys.